Hi guys, welcome back to Dave Astrology. Today I'm coming up with the 2026 annual predictions, and this is being recorded for the sign of Gemini. You can watch this video both from a Gemini rising as well as from Gemini moon sign perspective. Now 2026 is going to be interesting because Saturn, which happens to be your 8th lord as well as ninth lord, the lord of luck, fortune, destiny, is stationed in the 10th, and it is the only planet which is not going to be making any shifts, any transits through the course of the year. Of course, it will be making its shift in the form of a retrogression. Jupiter is going to cause the biggest shift in terms of its exaltation in the sign of Cancer, coming into your second house. And then, faggot of the year is going to be all about the Rahu Ketu transit. So, if we look into the three major planetary shifts, the first and the foremost bit which is coming out in 2026 for you guys, Geminis, is that this is going to be an year anchor your career. It's not going to be about any kind of shortcuts. It's going to be about putting in that enormous amount of transformation, putting in some extraordinary amount of effort, and luck will favor you if you are favoring yourself with your own karma, Gemini. On the other side of the spectrum, Jupiter is promising an explosion of wealth. It is becoming exalted in your second house, and that becomes crucial because Jupiter holds the ownership of two key houses in your birth chart as well, and thereby with the seventh and the 10th house lordship and Kendra lord coming into exaltation in your life is going to bring enormous amount of opportunities, growth, and prosperity for your family. Financial abundance is for sure written in the cards for you folks, Gemini, through the course of the year, with expansion in your bank, in your account, in your wealth, family happiness guaranteed or promised, at least from a transit uh, point of view. And last but not the least, there is going to be a twist that we are going to touch upon through the shift of Rahu's movement. Of course, Ketu will move along with Rahu, bang opposite to it. Rahu is going to get into the sign of Capricorn for you guys, while Ketu is going to enter into the sign of Cancer. What I've done through the course of this video is that I have divided this into 4 quarters of the year instead of providing you month on month insights, because we will be deep diving into the monthly reports like we usually do with our monthly predictions. But it is important for us to understand that what happens in each quarter, which is quarter one, where Jan, Feb, and March is going to be combined into one, April, May, June into quarter second, July, August, September into quarter third, and the last quarter will be about October, November, and December shift. So without further ado, folks, let's jump into understanding that what do you see happening through the course of 2026. Now, folks, I've presented your chart here as well so that you get a better understanding. In your chart, you can see that Jupiter has been represented transiting from your first house all the way to the third house through the course of the year, whilst Ketu is depicted moving from the third to the second, Saturn stationed in the 10th house itself, and Rahu's movement is depicted from your ninth house to your 8th house. It is crucial for you to understand that the rest of the planets will be making their movements cross the houses through the course of the year, which we will elaborate. But I am going to be touching upon some of the key insights which are going to come into picture through the course of the quarter. In the first quarter itself, you see that Jupiter will be stationed in your Lagna, in your first house, in your Rashi sign, if you're watching from a Gemini moon sign standpoint, in the first house. And Jupiter's presence, even in the retrograde position here, is giving an indication that this is going to bring some degree of benediction, support, guidance, clarity, openness in terms of wisdom to your mind as well through the course of this period. Now, Jupiter is getting some significant amount of Digbala when he is placed in the first house itself, which means that your confidence could be high. You could feel protected from a health and fitness standpoint. This is going to be a period where you are going to feel extremely optimistic about things which are happening in your life, in and around your vicinity as well. And the same time, this benediction of Jupiter is also going to enable you undertake the workload that Saturn is promising on your chart. You have to, however, understand that Jupiter is going to be retrograded for most part of this quarter. It's going to become direct later in March. And a retrograded Jupiter, which is the lord of your 10th house and your 7th house, indicates that there are going to be significant amount of efforts that you might have to make with respect to the significances of these houses. It does denote that whilst you are going to bring in all the intentions of doing the right partnerships, helping and supporting your partner, collaborating in your marriage, in your legal committed connections for that matter, it also indicates that your work will become a top priority for you. Your karma, your efforts is going to be of top priority. However, there could still be some degree of rework. Initiatives that you might undertake, they might take some bit of time for them to materialize and give you results of the fruition after revisiting that you've not been able to accomplish. Now, Jupiter has come into retrograde when, in its Atichari movement, it had come into its sign of exaltation in Cancer, got retrograde there, and shifting back from that position. And it's something that was not expected or anticipated for Jupiter to do, thanks to its Atichari movement, which means that from here, there will be certain significances which are going to test your metal, your belief system with your superiors, seniors, mentors, fatherly figures at your workplace as well. You would be required to remain calm, consistent, and focused. Fear not, you will get the right clarity as well. It is just that there is consistent effort that is needed from your end. Jupiter is also giving an retrograde aspect towards your fifth house, which means that your commitment towards romance, your partnerships in terms of investments that you want to make for stock market investments or any kind of speculative activities would also get tested. I, however, do not suspect any negative outcomes as long as you are driven with the right motivations. As you move further through the course of uh, the year, you will notice that right in the first month, on January 16th, Mars is going to remain exalted in your eighth house in the sign of Capricorn. Now, multiple planetary positions are coming, like Venus, Mercury, Sun, all of them will be transiting into the sign of Capricorn in your eighth house. And therefore, Gemini, you must be open for some sort of sudden shift, transformation, learning coming your way. Now, Mars is getting exalted, especially he being the lord of your 11th house and your 6th house, which means that Mars is forming not only an exaltation, but a parivartan, a Viprit Raj Yoga as well. And therefore, this sudden shift, it could be a trigger of some sort of an event, some kind of unexpected financial gain, or, in the form of insurance, inheritance. I'm not a huge fan of all those things, but that sudden shift in your life is eventually going to test your mettle. I, however, anticipate that you will be able to breathe through it. You will be able to succeed through that transformation and come out victorious through the course of it. Given that Mars is your sixth lord, I will drop a word of caution that Gemini, you guys have to be focused towards your health issues, any kind of surgeries that people are about to undertake. You are definitive to see a positive outcome for it, but there is a possibility that you might have to undergo, that trouble for some bit of the time. Now, as I said, Venus, Mercury, and all the other planets will be also making their shift, and therefore there is going to be an intent of your side on your side to learn new things, to discover new aspects, to get a lot more clarity on aspects of life that you've not delved harder. This is also going to be a period where you could come out victorious if you apply those learnings to your own workplace, to in your life, depending on the placements of your natal chart planets, as well as the dasha antardasha that you are going through, because that is going to become absolutely crucial for us to determine how would be the impact of this transit. As you look further, around 26th of February all the way till March 21st, your Lagna Lord, who also happens to be the Lord of your fourth house, is going to come into retrogression in the sign of Aquarius in your ninth house. Now, Lagn Lord or fourth Lord coming into the ninth house is a Raj Yoga placement in itself, Gemini. That's a very great, brilliant transit coming into picture. However, Mercury is going to get retrograded 3 times this year. And this is a point of time where you have to be absolutely cautious and take a pause. Think, rethink on your value system, on your belief system. You might have to recheck if the initiatives that you are embarking upon are they going to be taking you in the right direction or not. The good part is that the ninth lord in itself is placed in the 10th, which means that as long as your karma is aligned, you are going to find substantial support of your destiny as well. Now, I do not say that Mercury being your Lagna Lord is going to bring any significant amount of damage here, but what you have to take a notice that this is the house of long distance travels. There could be some kind of confusion or problems that you can anticipate in your long distance trip. It is also indicating that some bit of disagreement, revelation of sorts could come in collaboration with your seniors, mentors, guides, whatever walk of life. If you're a student, there could be some disruption from your professor. As a working professional, with your leadership, with your bosses, and that is where you will have to keep your ego apart. People who are looking forward towards any kind of visa work, immigration related activities, travel in terms of settlement in a far distance location, you will have to be absolutely careful about how you go about that decision making, as well as any kind of legal paperwork signatures that you are doing during this point in time. The important bit to note is that, if you are into any kind of e-commerce related businesses, marketing related ventures, uh, publishing related industries, there could be some bit of challenge that could come to people in that space as well. Now, 11th of March is going to be a period where you will notice, a shift in Jupiter, who becomes now direct in your birth chart. The good part here is that Jupiter, which is your, you know, seventh and your 10th lord, when he becomes direct in your lagna, he is going to now bring a lot of energized, full thrown energy into all these areas, which means that the time and effort that was being required in the first 2 months, the rework that you had to do during the course of that period, will now see some sort of transformative shift. And things that felt almost stuck, not moving, they will materialize for you. Guys, I want you to be aware of a fact that retrograded planets, whilst they bring certain challenges, whilst they are great with chase trouble, anything that feels stuck up seems to get sorted right at the point of time when they are about to shift from retrogression to a direct mode. And therefore, this becomes absolutely, crucial for you guys to understand that dropping the ball at any point in time when you are feeling that things are not materializing for you, your efforts are not working out for you in the first quarter itself, can be more detrimental. So continue to push forward, because Jupiter will bring you that clarity and that support, that benediction that I'm alluding to. All in all, I think first quarter is going to be a period where there is going to be an intense amount of transformation at the start of the year, but eventually it will help you stabilize your personal life, your family life, your health, as well as your mindset. Number two, Saturn is expecting you to not drop the ball and continue to focus hard in terms of the efforts that is required, because the eighth lord is in the 10th house as well. There could be occasions where your hard work might not get enough recognition, but things will shift as we move further. Now, as we move into the second quarter, I would define this as the period which is going to be the golden period of the decade from a wealth standpoint for you guys, Geminis. Why do I say that? See, at the start of the quarter itself, you will notice that somewhere around May 14th to June 8th, Venus is going to be transiting into your first house in the sign of Gemini. Now, Venus happens to be your lord and your 12th lord. People who are stationed in foreign countries, who are working in areas of import and export, who are doing any kind of profession that involves them to be thinking in isolation, any kind of creative businesses or ventures or efforts that require any kind of financial decisions, you folks are going to find some great success coming in your way. However, this period will also be combined with certain set of ballooned expenses, especially that could bring luxurious lifestyle to your life. Venus being your fifth lord in the Lagna is promising that this is going to be a period where romance could take priority for you guys, Geminis. Now, Venus in itself in the first house promises that you could come across extremely charming, intelligent, attractive to the people. So, some of you who are in a pursuit to forge new relationships, to get and into new connections, this is going to be an absolutely brilliant period where you will be charming your way through people's hearts, Geminis. This is also going to be a brilliant period for people who are looking for some kind of strategic investments through speculative activities like stock market, crypto trading, or buying any luxurious materials. The reason is that your fifth lord is doing ninth movement towards your lagna, but at the same time he's your 12th lord, and therefore this luxurious field, this investment could bring in fortunate luck as well for you folks through the course of this period. Make good use of this opportune time as you look further between May 29th to June 22nd. Your Lagna Lord Mercury is going to be entering in its own sign of Gemini itself. And this is a period, which of course forms Bhadra Mahapurush Yoga with Mercury being in the Lagna, and he is also the Lord of your fourth house. So, one, you are going to be focused towards your own satisfaction. Emotions could take priority, but you will have this great comic timing, making people laugh around you. You will be sharp and witty, strong with communications, meticulous in terms of dealing with any kind of decision making that comes your way, and razor sharp in how you address the challenges that you face. Whilst all this happens, it is also going to bring a surge in emotions within you during the course of this period. But there comes a risk when the fourth lord is in the Lagna itself in such good dignity, tends to make a person lazy. And whilst Jupiter will be inching towards its entry into the sign of exaltation in Cancer, this tendency, and mind you, I had already said that Jupiter would have become direct by this point in time. So there could be this tendency of being complacent. And that is the risk that you have to navigate and monitor carefully because Saturn is continuously going to be watching you and seeing that how you are dealing with the efforts coming in your direction. He's not just your ninth lord, but also your eighth lord. Now, Mercury's presence is a in your first house is going to be superlative for people who are working in the sphere of business, their own professions, who are in high positions of decision making if employed somewhere. Students watching this video who are undertaking mathematics or any kind of decision making, data science sort of courses, you are going to find significant amount of success coming your way in that direction as well. Essentially, this window is going to drive you with logic, razor sharpness, brilliance to the core. However, he will become retrograde, and we are going to touch upon that in a minute. Right after the transit on May 29th, with Mercury coming in your Lagna in the sign of Gemini, Jupiter will be entering into its sign of exaltation and making the biggest shift of the decade in its exaltation in Cancer in your second house. And what you notice here is that this is going to be the time that your career will finally convert into almost liquid cash coming in your way. All the efforts that you've been putting through the last 4 or 5 months, starting all the way in December 2025 to Jan, Feb, March, April, May, is now going to percolate to give you that support, that benediction in terms of Jupiter's direct aspect from its point of exaltation to his own house of 10th in the sign of Pisces, where he will also be aspecting Saturn. This is going to be a period where there is one potential risk of you becoming egotistical or overtly confident of what you are getting because things will materialize positively for you, hopefully. And that is where my caveat comes. You will have to keep a check on your language, on your communication, because Jupiter does bring the tendency of burning the house where he sits, whilst there is a absolute brilliant positive energy that comes in terms of its aspect where he looks at. So you will have to make sure that this is where you balance your communication as well as the support of the luck of the ecosystem that is coming your way. This is going to be a great time in terms of you getting the right ROI on your investments, be it from your career perspective, be it from your job perspective, from your relationship standpoint as well, because he happens to be your seventh lord. Now, Jupiter here is also indicating that this is going to be the time where you could see some rewards in the form of liquid cash getting into your bank account. It could result into some sort of improvement at your workplace. You might find some sort of a promotion coming your way. Your marriage could materialize during this period itself if people are looking forward to get into new relationships. It could also result into new business or career opportunities coming in the way for people who are aspiring or anticipating. Students watching this video, it's going to be a brilliant time right from June 2nd onwards, all the way till 31st of October, where you will be able to materialize your efforts into the outcome that you wanted. Many of you will also embark upon expanding your family life. Whilst Jupiter was direct in the Lagna in the previous quarter, or the first 2 months of this quarter as well, you will notice that from 2nd of June onwards, there is going to be an enhanced, increased chance of you know, having an expansion, some kind of an abundance in your family. And that expansion could result in the form of progeny, or maybe in your life, in your family, you have an entry of a new member in itself. This period will also indicate some sort of auspicious events coming into picture. You could enjoy sweet tooth at this point in time, and thereby your interest in terms of eating delicious food, sattvic food, yet rich food is also highly probable. However, I would want you to remember the risk of communication, arrogance, some bit of complacency coming into picture. Your Lagna Lord Mercury is again going to get retrograded in the sign of Cancer in your second house itself from June 29th. And this is crucial for you to remember because it's happening in the fag end of the quarter. But when your lucky lord gets retrograded, whilst the money could be flowing in comfortably, he's still giving a shift of taking it away. And therefore, there could be certain glitches, there could be certain problems, obstacles that could come into picture in you retaining on your savings. So be mindful as to how you are going about the same. The second bit is your communication, because Mercury at the end of the day is the lord of communication itself, and he is not very comfortable in the sign of Cancer. So, him becoming retrograded in your second house can bring some degree of confusion around money. There could be a risk of you losing something precious as well. So, be careful about that. Monitor where do you keep stuff. Your electronic gadgets could go wrong. So, that is another bit. Whilst transferring your money from one bank account to another, or maybe making any kind of payments, you'll have to be extremely careful, Geminis, because this period carries the risk of you making some erroneous mistake and potentially losing that amount of money. So any kind of wire transfers, UPI payments, mobile payments, you must be watchful of that activity too. All in all, second quarter is going to be a period which is going to provide an aggressive accumulation of money, or the opportunities coming in life that bring you that wealth, the opportunity to grow that wealth as well, is going to be a period where people who are associated from the financial industry, banking industry, consulting sort of businesses, teaching backgrounds, you are going to see some stupendous growth in and around those areas as well. Remember, he is your seventh lord, 10th lord, and natural significances of Jupiter are going to come into picture. And when I remind you of not dropping the ball with respect to the efforts you make, Saturn continues to sit closely monitoring what you are doing, because in the next quarter, he is going to become retrograded. And let's touch upon that bit as well. Now, as you notice, the third quarter from July 1st all the way till 30th of September is going to bring two key shifts, with Saturn getting into its sign of retrogression in the sign of Pisces in your 10th house itself. I will define this period as the war of words and career review for you guys, Gemini. Why? First of all, you have to understand that Saturn is going to bring a certain degree of clash being stationed in your 10th house. He is the lord of your ninth house as well as your eighth. And the eighth lord can bring some disruptive energies, especially when he is getting retrograded and having that exorbitant amount of cheshtable coming into picture. Saturn here is indicating that your career progress or your initiatives, your overall karma in itself could feel as a slowing down. This is going to be a period, folks, which is going to see some exorbitant amount of patience and perseverance from your side. I keep on repeating, when Saturn is in retrogression, he is going to make you challenge and question your initiatives as to the kind of decisions, as to the kind of karma that you're doing. Is it or not moving in the right direction? And when Saturn comes into its, in this shift all the way from 27th of July till 11th of December, what you notice is that your superiors, your bosses, your professors, teachers, mentors could become silent or withdrawn. Whatever walk of life you come from, if you're a business person, you will see some sort of a strange, weird behavior coming in from your clientele. In your education spree, you might find that your mentors are not paying enough attention, or they are not excited or enthused about the inputs that you were sharing earlier. There could be a sudden shift in your own emotions where you start to question your value system, your belief system, and if or not I am working in the right direction. Is this the kind of legacy that I want to leave behind? But it is crucial for you to understand that this is the test of Saturn. This is the period where you will have to look back and fix things in your karma. Whether or not you're running your own venture, your business, in your educational space, at your workplace, you will have to check and see that whatever actions, whatever response that I made, did it make sense? Was it the right direction? And you will have to undergo this introspection to help you, come out like a phoenix rising at the fag end of this retrograde movement of Saturn, where you will get an absolute clarity and there will be a transformative shift again in your personality, in how you represent yourself to the outer world, because that is what 10th house is all about. It is your connection with the masses, with the people. Your career, work, profession can be demanding at this point in time. The efforts that you are putting in education can be demanding at this point in time. And you have to remember that you cannot choose to quit, but fix. Fix the issues, fix the problems, the obstacles, the difficulties that you are facing. You might have to acknowledge the mistakes that you could have committed. In your business endeavors, you might realize that you might have taken certain unreasonable calls. Any kind of shortcuts that I was alluding to, if you have embarked upon them in the previous months and quarters, you will realize this is going to be the time you might have to pay back for it, or at least question yourself if you are choosing the right path to function in that direction. See, Saturn sitting here is also going to be giving a retrograded aspect towards your 12th house. So this will also bring in certain degree of gains too for you. Jupiter is still sitting exalted and giving an aspect on this Saturn and your 10th house. So it's not that it's a dead situation. However, there will be some bit of heightened effort that will be required. Saturn will be giving a retrograded aspect towards your fourth as well as your seventh house. Mental, emotional peace could also see a certain degree of turmoil along with your relationship and partnerships. It's not going to be an easy period, but the best part that's happening for you folks is that you are getting this extraordinary amount of blessings through the course of this period, all the way till 31st of October, whilst Jupiter is giving the watch on the sign of Pisces and Saturn from its position of exaltation. In this quarter itself, as you move further, you notice that around 17th or 18th of September, all the way till November 12th, which means trickling into your fourth quarter as well, Mars is going to be entering into the sign of Cancer, where he gets debilitated. Now, partially during this period, what you will find is that Mars is going to get a strong niche bhanga. It's one of the most proper niche bhanga that can come into picture, but it is almost as if that you find this Mars attacking your personal, financial, emotional, family space. When Mars gets into the fourth, into your second house, into the sign of Cancer, you could find some of the biggest conflicts coming in your way as well. And I think for the initial period between September 18th till October 31st, there will be certain degree of control if Jupiter is well positioned in your natal chart as well. However, if that is not the case, you might get into situations where, because of your own speech and communications, you could create detrimental scenario for yourself. So you will have to understand that your choice of words, the kind of communication that you're establishing, more so in the personal environment with your near and dear ones, with your spouse, with your family members, can become crucial. This is also going to be a period where some bit of gains could come into picture. He is your 11th lord after all, coming into your second house, albeit in its sign of debilitation, but partially getting niche for the half of this period. So it's a good Dhan Yoga, and I do not see any kind of negative impact coming into picture because Mars will try to bring in those gains. However, that wish fulfillment, those goals and objectives achievement could come after a bit of a fight, or it could be diminished versus the anticipation or the expectation, the build-up that you have within your mind. I cannot emphasize enough. When Mars is in the second house, you have to be careful about your harsh speech or arguments that can ruin things within your family, or your love life for that matter. You know, this is also going to be a period where you could suffer with toothaches, any kind of infection that can come in your mouth area. And thereby, I alluded to this thing earlier, that sweet tooth is something that you can pick up in the earlier part of the year with Jupiter getting exalted. So being mindful of your personal hygiene or with the kind of food also that you're consuming, because some bit of challenges could come your way in the health areas getting impacted. There could be a financial impact depending on the kind of loans that you have undertaken. Some sort of a litigation situation come with family members if you are not able to control your speech, your choice of words, because Mars happens to be the lord of your sixth house as well. Your enemies will try to get aggressive, but you will have to still maintain your calm and dignity. The main focus for this period should be that you continue to focus on your savings. You continue to uh, credentialize, you consolidate your savings, your money. If you feel as if there is some kind of sarcastic remark, ironical remark being made against you, it may not be a bad idea to take a step back and let that sink in. Absorbing things, being patient and perseverant through the debilitation of Mars is going to be a crucial bit for you during this point in time. And to make matters worse, Saturn is already retrograded, making your work life or your overall efforts also tougher. Now, folks, the last quarter of the year, which is from October, November, and December, is going to be a period which is going to bring some degree of creative reboot as well as a shift from an occult standpoint. Now, why do I say that? And right at the start of the October month, which is from October 3rd onwards, you will notice that Venus is going to become retrograded in your fifth house in the sign of Libra. Now, this is going to be important because Venus also happens to be your 12th lord, the ruler of losses, expenses, difficulties, and spiritual transformation as well. Whilst he is coming to its own sign, which is a positive shift, but fifth house, which denotes your romance, children, creativity, connections, is finding a retrograded Venus. Yes, there is going to be an enormous amount of cheshta bal also coming into picture. Venus will be trying hard to help you find those gains, financial gains, ambitions, dreams, desires that you are chasing. However, there will be some sort of a review, some sort of a rework, revisit that could come into picture. Why do I say that? Because Venus's presence in the fifth, whilst from a house perspective or even directionally, is not a bad situation to be in. But when he is retrograded, this could bring some old lover, some past connection that you've moved on from back into your life. Ex lovers return is possible for people who are, looking forward towards new relationships, or probably bringing a certain degree of enhanced confusion with people that you had not really thought of establishing your relationship with them again. So that's the first and the foremost critical thing, and you will have to navigate this thing carefully if you want to stay find that connection. I will urge you guys that all the way from the start of the month of October till the mid of November, you must not jump into any conclusive decision making. Of course, when we get into those monthly readings, I'm going to bring in more insights from that perspective as well. As you move further, you will notice that Venus in the fifth lord is also going to impact your kids if you're a parent watching this video. This is not one of the best periods for you to be attempting progeny, or there could be complications, difficulties that could be coming in your children's life as well. New relationships of any form is not ideally recommended during this period. It's going to be also a critical period for people who are into stock market trading, into investments of some sorts, because the 12th lord coming into the fifth house in retrograde motion is going to give you that urge or maybe an surge of energy that I want to make some big decision. I want to go and invest, in a riskier proposition. Whilst I'm no one to inform you on a financial decision at this point in time, unless and until I have deeper clarity on your natal chart as such. But from a transit perspective, I would give you a suggestion that you must be careful about any kind of new lucrative ideas coming your way, because they may not result into the gains that you are anticipating, especially through the course of the period when Venus is sitting retrograded. There will be a lot of confusion in terms of your creative ideas as well. Some of the folks who are in creative fields, you are in marketing businesses, you are in art and art forms of some kind, your ideas might not resonate with the people around you. I would refrain from making any kind of significant financial investment from a new startup venture at this point in time as well. Now, October is also going to be a month where Jupiter will finally, on the last day, 31st of October, enter into the sign of Leo. And now your shift or mental or emotional shift from a career perspective, from your relationships perspective, will be towards communication. Your seventh lord has gone 9 places away from itself into the third house, but your 10th lord is 6 places away into the sign of Leo. Jupiter's presence in Leo is also not considered bad in my mind, because this is going to be time where you could focus towards showing that interest in travel, in short distance journeys, finding some time of vacation for yourself, finding some time with yourself as well. This is also going to be a period where many of you could initiate towards any kind of book writing, publishing articles, getting on social media, starting something new with respect to initiatives on the creative center, bent of mind. But remember, Venus is still sitting retrograded in your fifth house. So it becomes absolutely critical as to how do we navigate, given the fact that Jupiter is in its Atichari movement. His entry into the sign of Leo will not be too deep. It will move just a couple of degrees. But the brilliant part is that Jupiter sitting from here will be giving an aspect towards your seventh house, ninth house, and your 11th house. So he is still going to show some sort of an indication of you forging depth, connection, uh, strength in your relationships, in your partnerships. There will be some degree of collaboration. Long distance travel could come into picture for many of you who are in businesses or who want to embark upon a long distance, short duration journey with your partner. This is also going to be a period where Jupiter is going to give a promise of support from your bosses, superiors, mentors, guides. You will try to revisit, establish your thought process from your belief system perspective. There will be a gain or, you know, concerted effort from your side towards spirituality, religion as well. I would not be surprised if many of you embark upon some sort of a religious travel pilgrimages as well. It's going to be a decent period in terms of collaborating with your siblings, with your, people in your neighborhood, society, community, etc. Great period in terms of doing that. And if you somehow bring energies aligned in this direction, this Jupiter is also giving an aspect towards your 11th. So that retrograded aspect of Venus combined with the ninth aspect of Jupiter in your 11th house does indicate that after those difficulties and challenges, you might still be able to accomplish some of the goals that you've set for yourself. Now, the big shift comes into picture from December 5th. The biggest transit of Rahu and Ketu will start around December 5th, well, Rahu will be now entering into your eighth house in the sign of Capricorn, whilst Ketu is going to enter in the sign of Cancer in your second house. First and foremost, Rahu in the eighth is going to bring in, a profound Ashtam Rahu 18-month cycle into play. You are going to find that this is going to be a period of deep research. People who are in industries where they have to continuously transform themselves, learn new things, revisit, unlearn older concepts, and especially with Rahu's entry into the eighth, you are going to find your interest areas into matters that have been alien to you, unknown to you, not your, uh, your core areas for that matter. To give you a simple example, somebody working, let's say, as a human resource person, might have to go and grasp with the technological shift that we are seeing in the market right now, may have to learn something new from a marketing standpoint, from a communication perspective. Your interest in occult could be in a rise. I have so many people from US, Europe, Australia, even, I'm so blessed, guys, that people from South America are giving lots of love, reaching out to me on Instagram and stuff. And this is a clear indication when Rahu is in the eighth, many people will get interested in religious matters of a different religion, of a different background. Your interest could be in areas in terms of research which is completely unknown to you, which could be connected to artificial intelligence, technological aspects of some kind. Learning yourself, grasping that knowledge, and transforming in that sphere will become your priority. Rahu from here is also going to be giving an aspect towards the 12th and the 4th. So please be careful with respect to your peace of mind. To a certain extent, some shift or transformation from your emotional mental peace could come into picture. It's just that there could be wild variety of ideas, big expenses also coming in your way once the shift, consolidates as Rahu stabilizes in the sign of Capricorn. And of course, when we reach that point, we are going to be doing a detailed video to help you get clarity on that front. Now, bang opposite to it is Ketu, which is sitting in your second house. And this is where it is going to enter, uh, in the sign of Cancer, where Jupiter earlier was stationed to bring you wealth, abundance, success, positive events. Now, Ketu in the second house can bring in detachment from money. You could lose interest with respect to your assets, with everything that was making you excited in the earlier part of the year. This is where you will feel as if some degree of sanity is being lost. And the reason is Ketu will be giving an aspect towards your 10th. So your karma, your career, your profession, your work might have some degree of an impact. And guys, I keep repeating, when Ketu is coming into the Artha houses, which is your 2, 6, and 10, there is a continuous shift from a work, career, profession perspective that comes into a person's life that could destabilize or that could bring lack of interest as well. And Ketu is giving an aspect towards your sixth, sitting in the second when he's in the sign of Cancer. Remember, he's the co-lord of the Scorpio sign, which is the sixth house. So if you remain focused, if you remain process oriented towards dealing with the obstacles, or maybe figuring out what is the solution that is required from my side, address the obstacles coming my way, that could be the most sophisticated, strategic, logical approach of dealing with this shift of Ketu. Remember, do not get too worried about savings. If spending is happening during this point in time, Gemini, let it happen, because Ketu will then fulfill you in terms of money as well with your own efforts in your own job. So do not fret this shift. And of course, we will do a double dive when we reach that point in time. Now, December 11th is going to be a period when Saturn is going to become direct in the sign of Pisces in your 10th house itself. So you've seen all this dramatic shift in terms of your emotions, career, transformation coming in with so many planets in the sign of Capricorn through the course of the year. And now, post the retrogression of Saturn, once he becomes direct, you will find that there will be an absolute clarity in terms of your career path. You will know that your own introspection, the review that you had to do, the looking of inside that you had to do has given you that clarity, and you will be ready to lead. And that is where, guys, this movement of Rahu in terms of learning new stuff and then reestablishing yourself at your workplace, in your karma, in your career is going to come into picture. Last but not the least, the important bit that I would want to remind you is that during Venus retrograde period, any kind of romantic connections, you should not just jump into them. I'm not saying that you should not consider a romantic connection in your life, but making an absolute decision on one side or the other is something that you must navigate by giving due attention or due course of time. And probably November second half and December will be a much more effective period for you in that direction. See, all in all, 2026 is going to be a year where you are going to see a peak in your career. You are going to see growth from a work, profession, karma standpoint. It is also going to be an year which is going to bring some bit of private, personal transformation in your life, thanks to all the action happening in your eighth house. And all of this combined with some phenomenal amount of wealth, family, abundance, growth coming in your life. Through the course of this year, I will highly recommend that feel free to do Hanuman Chalisa, especially when you see transformation coming in from an eighth perspective, because naturally, Mars and Saturn have the ownership or signification of eighth house. And connecting with Hanuman or doing any kind of activities that take you in isolation, makes you spiritual, is going to be a remedial activity. Also, through the course of the year, if you are able to make any kind of donations, especially towards cows, animals, in terms of feeding them green food, thrice through the course of the year when Mercury is becoming retrograded is going to be crucial for you. And last but not the least, when Rahu comes into the eighth house, eighth is going to be hyperactivated with Ketu in your second. And this is going to be a period where, your own introspection, looking inwards inside, is going to bring the best of the clarity for you for the path ahead. I hope, folks, you've enjoyed the enormous amount of time, effort, energy that goes into creating, this insight, this information for you. If you do, then my humble request from you is to please smash on that like button, subscribe to Dev Astrology. Kindly put in your comments, give me your feedback as to what I can do better. Help me grow Dev Astrology. Thanks for watching again. Om Namah Shivaya. Har Har Mahadev.